You're sitting in traffic. You've been here for 40 minutes. You have somewhere to be. The car in front of you hasn't moved, and you can feel something tightening in your chest. Not quite rage, not quite sadness. Just this low, grinding frustration that seems completely out of proportion to what's actually happening. Or maybe it's not traffic for you. Maybe it's an email that came in a tone you didn't expect. A plan that fell apart at the last minute. Someone's opinion of you that you can't stop turning over in your mind. The feeling is the same. Something outside you moved, and something inside you broke. Most of us spend our entire lives reacting this way. Not because we're weak, but because nobody ever gave us a framework for anything else. Two men, separated by 500 years and 4,000 miles, both tried to build one. Epictetus was a Greek slave who became one of Rome's most influential philosophers. The Buddha was an Indian prince who walked away from everything he owned to sit under a tree until he understood why human beings suffer. They never met. They didn't read each other's work. But when you place their core teachings side by side, something remarkable happens. They are, in many ways, diagnosing the same illness. The illness is this: we suffer because we cling to things we cannot control. And we do it constantly, automatically, without even noticing. Where Stoicism and Buddhism differ is in the cure. And that difference is worth sitting with, because one of these frameworks might hold up under the pressure of your particular life better than the other. Epictetus opened his Enchiridion, his handbook for living, with one of the most clarifying sentences in the history of philosophy. Some things are in our control, and others are not. That's it. That's the whole system, compressed into 9 words. What is in your control? Your judgments, your intentions, your response to what happens. Epictetus called this the prohairesis, the faculty of choice, the one thing no external force can touch without your permission. What is not in your control? Your reputation, other people's behavior, your health, the weather, traffic. The Stoic insight is not that these things don't matter. It's that treating them as if they determine your well-being is the source of almost all unnecessary suffering. When you outsource your inner state to external events, you hand your freedom to something that was never yours to begin with. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself in Meditations, put it this way: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoic practice, then, is essentially a daily act of boundary drawing. Every morning you ask, what is mine and what isn't? And then you invest everything into what is and release your grip on what isn't. For someone in modern life, a person whose frustration is constantly triggered by things they didn't cause and cannot fix, Stoicism offers something clean and immediate, a line you can draw right now, in this moment, between what you're responsible for and what you're not. It doesn't ask you to feel differently. It asks you to think differently first and trust that the feeling will follow. The Buddha's starting point is almost identical, and yet the path he builds from it goes somewhere Stoicism doesn't quite reach. In his first teaching after his enlightenment, the Buddha identified dukkha, often translated as suffering, though the word carries more texture than that. Dissatisfaction, a kind of pervasive unease, the sense that even when things are good, they are slightly, persistently not enough. His diagnosis, dukkha, arises from tanha, craving, the relentless grasping after pleasure, stability, and permanence in a world that offers none of those things reliably. So far, this sounds like Stoicism. Both traditions are pointing at the same root problem. But the Buddha's prescription moves in a different direction. He doesn't ask you to draw a line between what is yours and what isn't. He asks you to look more carefully at the one who is drawing the line. Because in Buddhist thought, the self that feels frustrated, the self that wants control, the self that is trying so hard to hold things together, that self is also part of the illusion. The Buddha taught anatta, non-self. The idea that what we call I is not a fixed, stable entity, but a constantly shifting process. Thoughts arising and passing, sensations coming and going, nothing solid at the center. This is where Buddhism becomes, for many people, either profoundly liberating or deeply unsettling, sometimes both at once. The practice the Buddha prescribed is vipassana, insight meditation. Not thinking your way to a better response, as the Stoics might suggest, but sitting with direct experience until you see, at a cellular level, that everything is impermanent. That clinging is the problem, not just in theory, but in your body, in real time. The Dhammapada opens with these words: mind is the forerunner of all actions. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never departs. Where Stoicism says, change your thinking, Buddhism says, see through the thinker. For someone overwhelmed by their own reactions, not just frustrated, but exhausted by the person they become when things go wrong, Buddhism offers something Stoicism doesn't. It offers the possibility of coming loose from that person entirely, not through control but through seeing. Here is where it gets interesting. Both Epictetus and the Buddha looked at the same human being, anxious, reactive, perpetually unsatisfied, and arrived at the same verdict. The problem is not outside you. It never was. Both traditions insist that the mind, untrained, is a source of suffering. Both prescribe daily practice over passive belief. Both warn against mistaking intellectual understanding for actual change. You can read the meditations every morning and still lose your temper by noon. You can understand impermanence as a concept and still fall apart when something ends. Knowledge is not enough. This is a point both traditions make with great force, but the disagreement between them is real, and it matters. Stoicism keeps the self intact. It refines it, disciplines it, fortifies it, but it does not dissolve it. Epictetus believed there was a sovereign faculty inside you, your capacity for rational choice, that was genuinely yours. Protecting and exercising that faculty was the good life. Buddhism looks at that same faculty and asks, who exactly is the one exercising it? It doesn't find a sovereign self, it finds a process. And the clinging to the idea of a stable, continuous self, the belief that there is a fixed you who must be protected and controlled, is itself, in Buddhist thought, one of the deepest roots of suffering. This is not a small difference. It is, arguably, the central philosophical divide between Eastern and Western thought. And yet, when you watch someone who has genuinely practiced either tradition for years, a committed Stoic, a serious meditator, they look remarkably similar from the outside. Calm in difficulty, present in conversation, less reactive than nearly everyone around them. The destination somehow seems to be the same place. The maps just look nothing alike. So where does that leave you? Perhaps Stoicism is what you need right now, a clear line, a practical discipline, a way to stop hemorrhaging energy on things you cannot change, a framework you can use tomorrow morning before anything has gone wrong. Or perhaps you've already tried the line drawing, already tried the discipline, and something keeps slipping through. Something that feels less like a thought you can correct, and more like a current you keep getting pulled into. In which case, Buddhism might be pointing at something Stoicism can't quite reach. Neither of these traditions asks for your belief. They ask for your practice. They ask you to try. Epictetus was a slave who found total freedom inside a system that owned his body. The Buddha was a prince who found that owning everything was its own kind of prison. They both found a way out. They just drew different maps. Which map feels more honest to the territory of your life right now? Let me know in the comments below. I read every one